Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 4 of Last Best Hope for Conversation, your Babylon 5 podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jesse Jackson. Joining me in the CNC is my wonderful podcast mom, Karen.
Hello.
And my podcast brother, Lou.
Hello, everyone.
And we are talking The Hour of the Wolf. Originally aired November 14th, 1996. This is the first episode of the fourth season of Babylon 5. This was the last season that was on the various TV channels. And then as we finish this season, we'll talk about them moving to TNT. We had a lot of questions on last episode. And one of the questions was who would do the narration. So I want to start there.
They cheated.
Lou,
they cheated.
Yeah, they cheated. They did. So we were all right, and we were all.
Well, actually, I'm going to give the nod to you, Karen, because Jakar did do the opening narration. I think that's that's in your favor.
Yeah,
he did that little voiceover at the beginning.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of the new opening?
It's good.
It's okay.
I think it kind of shows that they're being united as one against the enemy, but that could just be me reading into it.
No, I think that's good.
It is interesting why they've chosen to use the whole cast this season. What that portends, I don't know, and I don't remember off the top of my head if they talked about the third season or age of Ben. It was the third age. Usually, I don't think that was mentioned this time, or did I just misremember it? I don't know.
I would have to look.
I have it up. Hold on, I'll read it real quick. It was the year of fire, the year of destruction, the year we took back what was ours. It was the year of rebirth, the year of great sadness, the year of pain, and the year of joy. It was a new age. It was the end of history.
Okay,
it was the year everything changed. The year is 2261, the place, Babylon 5. And in order, it's Lanier, Zach, Jakar, Lyta, Veer, Marcus, Delenn, Londo, Franklin, Ivanova, Garibaldi, and then Sheridan.
Yeah, I like the idea that because you had the commander the first season, the new commander second season, Susan getting her spotlight, and in the fourth, I thought it was interesting to do this because I think this signifies that the show is going through a change, which they flat tell you in the opening, right? This was the year of change and the dawn of a new age. And that is a little spoilery, not in a bad way, but because you asked the third age of mankind, a new age. Oh, okay, something has changed. So anyway, I thought that was really fun that you guys had that question and it get answered immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
We had a feedback on YouTube. I think it was Texas that said, so the answer to that question is yes. And I said, I see what you did there.
Yes, I saw that. And I like that a lot. Yeah. All right.
And also, I'm sorry.
Yes. No,
I hate to interrupt. It spoiled the fact that Garibaldi and John are fine.
Yeah.
Because they're in the opening.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what. But as we joked about that last time, this is not Game of Thrones. You are pretty sure that your stars are going to come back. And they actually will get there, but we actually see Sheridan, which was something neither one of you guys guessed this early.
Nope.
Yeah.
I think we said third episode in, we'd probably. Yeah.
And so
I meant Garibaldi. Yeah, I'm going to go back.
Yes, I totally agree with that. All right.
I didn't. I meant Sheridan. Just so you guys know, I'm being facetious.
I get that. Quick thoughts. Karen, while you're talking, go ahead.
Slower than I thought it would be. To be honest, I thought it would be not matching the last episode, but at the very least closer. And I felt like it put on the brakes. However, I don't think it was bad. I just I felt like it was lacking something, if that makes sense.
Okay. Lou.
I thought it was a good change of pace from the season 3 finale. You need a period of reflection for the characters to work through their emotional issues with the disappearance of Sheridan. But my subtitle for this episode would be Garibaldi Don't Get No Love, because only Jakar talked about him. Nobody, not even Zach, mentioned his name once in the whole friggin' episode, and that really pissed me off.
I thought Zach, when Zach was in Garibaldi's room, they had that discussion.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Okay.
But he's the only regular Babylon 5 crew member that mentions his name. Everybody else was Sheridan. I go, seriously? You lost 2 people?
Yeah.
That really bugged me. Bugged the hell out of me, to be honest.
Yeah, that's been a consistent theme of you feeling that Garibaldi gets no love.
They sure didn't in this episode.
Yeah, I think, that's good. I think the other thing we should remember is because of the time period that you could not buy these on DVD yet.
Mm-hmm.
They were not available. There was no streaming. So there is a chance that, I've been hearing about Babylon 5. I should check it out. And so this would be the first episode that some people are watching. We're used to now, you just start at the beginning, right? You don't go into a season midstream. That could be another reason why it's a little different pace. But I agree with you, Karen. It is a little different pace.
Yeah, I get Lou's point as well that you need that downtime. There were a lot of good things about this episode. I was expecting faster.
And this is just a stylistic choice, but I would have kept Sheridan off the screen this episode. I didn't like that they revealed so quickly that he was still alive. You could hint at it, like the Vorlon, I can't remember his name, hinted at it, but still, I don't know why they had to reveal that so quickly, but that's just me. I just think
I could see that.
I think
they keep calling him Kosh, and
they were saying that that's what he wants to be called, but so new Kosh. And
Kosh 2.0.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to you, Karen, because I have loved how you have not been the biggest Vorlon fan. So this again, I think adds to this show.
Yeah,
this episode is.
He was a dick in this one, right?
Yes, he is. As we say, a Rick with a P is what the sports station here calls it. It's just yeah. All right, so let's get into it.
Let me say up front.
Yeah,
I think it's cool how there are so many actor crossings in the guest stars that relate to the main stars.
Okay.
Wortham Krimmer, whose name is actually Richard Krimmer in real life, who is now a lawyer, and he graduated as at the top of his class, and he's a celebrated entertainment lawyer now. But
that's who plays Cartagia, right?
He plays Cartagia, correct?
Yeah.
He was in a rather important episode of Scarecrow and Mrs. King. Where he takes Mrs. King hostage. He's from Saudi Arabia, and he takes her hostage. And Adi Barol is his name on the show. And it's an episode that's very pivotal when it comes to their romance.
Okay.
Scarecrow and Mrs. King's romance. And I knew him right away. Even though I haven't seen Scarecrow and Mrs. King in a while. I was like, I know who that guy is.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you watch any kind of soaps, he's been on like 3 of the major soaps. So anyway,
yes, he has.
I just thought I'd mention that. There's also a couple of people that have crossed over on, what is the other show that they've One Life to Live for one, and Days of Our Lives, because we know that Franklin was a big star on those, and Max Headroom we've seen a couple times crossover. But in that case, I think it's funny that we've seen a few cameos from people that were on Scarecrow and Mrs. King. And I don't know why that is. Did they have the same casting director, or is Bruce pulling them in, or
I don't know.
I don't know, but it's funny to see. So anyway,
good. Thank you.
I wanted to mention that up front.
All right, good. All right, Susan is not sleeping. I think that Claudia plays that very well. I thought that I felt tired for her. And I feel like all of us have been that. I did not know the phrase hour of the wolf, but I have had that where it's the middle of the night and everything that is bothering you and you're worried about is keeping you from sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
I remember once, especially when I was in the hospital multiple years ago when I had been diagnosed with colon cancer.
Mhm.
And I think it was before surgery. It may have been after surgery, but anyway, it was the middle of the night and I just couldn't sleep. Just my mind was rolling through everything that was going to happen. And I finally called the nurse and I said, "Can I have something for pain?" And I'm just gonna honestly tell you, I'm not hurting. I just can't sleep. I can't turn my mind off. And she's, "Yes, let me give you something and let me see if I can help you." So I did not do, I love you have a shot of vodka for the wolf and then more shots in case they have cubs. So Lou, not to be too personal, but have you had your hours of the wolf and what do you think of this storyline?
Yeah, I think everybody has that at one point or another in their life. Fortunately for me, I don't have a persistent insomnia problem, but once in a blue moon, I do get it. And when you're alone by yourself with nobody else to talk to, your mind tends to turn to the negative things, at least that I do, because you're tired, you're emotionally down. So I can totally relate to that. And I thought that Claudia played those scenes quite well. It's great. It was a great contrast to her normal scenes to see her this vulnerable. So I quite enjoyed her scenes quite a bit. I thought she did a fantastic job, even though she didn't mention Garibaldi once.
Right.
That's going to be my theme of the podcast.
I love that. One of the things I really loved is her being woken up and it is 5:30. Here is what you've got. And she has a full day ahead of her, a full day of important stuff. And you're just like, wow, and to have that kind of day. And I also find that when you look at oh, it's now 1 a.m. So if I go to sleep right now, I will still get 6 hours of sleep. Oh, it's 1:30. If I go to sleep right now, which makes it even more and more, stuff. So
And time moves so much slower during that time of day too.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So Karen, how about you?
Yeah, that's a Larry Miller bit. I don't know if you've ever seen Larry Miller, the comedian, but he talks about if I go to sleep right now, I'll have 6 hours of sleep. And then and he mentions what the examples are of 6 hours of sleep and blah, blah, blah. It's a very funny bit. It's something I remember.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's Larry Miller Stand Up 1991. It's on Just for Laughs if you guys are interested. It's about 5 minutes long.
Okay.
So it's one of his big bits. Larry Miller was very popular for quite a while. I don't know if you guys know about him, but it's been a while, the 90s.
Okay.
And I was into comedians in the 90s. But anyway, I also, and yes, I have had my hours of the wolf. I have them my meds that I take have me go through cycles of I want to sleep all day. And so I'm not tired ever, except for that I just can't stay awake. And then it makes me stay awake. So I'll have 3 days of I can't sleep at all. So I go through these things. So I completely understand her mindset in this moment. I also like to see who she got messages from. I thought that was interesting. She got a message from Delenn. She got a message from Jakar. She got a message from Marcus. It was really cool. And I also like how it bookended the episode with her having this schedule being read out to her.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that was very cool. It shows that she's stuck in a loop of this kind of, she's down. I wouldn't say despair, but she's definitely way down. She's not sleeping, but she's also like super depressed about what's happening. And I love the Hour of the Wolf is a Russian thing.
Yeah.
It's a pretty common Russian thing, apparently. There's also a movie from 1968 called Hour of the Wolf. It's an Ingmar Bergman movie, and he was criticized for it. And then later, 20 years later, it was like picked out as one of the best movies of the 60s or whatever. It's got Max von Sydow in it. And it's a lot about having hallucinations and stuff, and you can't sleep. So anyway, it's also on the same vein. But yeah, I did like that allegory of the Hour of the Wolf. And it really illustrates where she is, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Good. I'm glad. That's good to know. Let's talk. One of the things that's keeping Susan up is the allegiance with the alignment of the unaligned worlds is falling apart. They are Sheridan's dead. The shadows, if not defeated, are at least done. And we just need to get the hell out of Dodge, and we don't care about Babylon 5 anymore. And Susan, partly because she's tired and partly because she's Russian and partly because she's Susan, the meeting isn't going to end till you agree with me. Not the best thing at all. Lou, why don't we start there?
Yeah, it was interesting that they've spent so much of the last season building up this alliance and finally getting it, and now it's fallen apart again. So there's Babylon 5 is obviously in a much more precarious situation again. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I guess I'm a little confused about why I'm sorry if this is jumping ahead, but I don't know why the shadows are going to New Centauri for refuge. Like, the universe is a big place. Why don't they just go somewhere else? I didn't get that plot point at all. The only thing that I'm thinking of is that the shadows are not being honest about why they want to be on New Centauri. So we'll have to see how that plays out. So it's interesting to see the alliance break down and the shadow seemingly break down at the same time. So both parties are licking their wounds, and I assume that this is being done to set up the story arc for the season without having to go into full-on war for 22 episodes, which would be difficult to maintain unless they want to turn it into a Band of Brothers or something like that.
Yeah. It's
so
a good series, but
I
can't imagine Babylon 5 being.
Let's jump to that, Susan. Karen, do you have a theory on why they want to send it to... What was your thoughts on why they wanted to go to Centauri Prime?
I actually didn't think about it, but thinking about it right now, they might need something in order to bolster their ranks. We know that Centauri has telepaths, right?
Yes.
And so we know they have that, and they also have a lot of people. And we know that the shadows need people, and a lot of their people were killed. So who better to go to than the people that trust them and then use their people for powering their ships or fixing their ships or whatever. Again, I'm not sure that they could do that anywhere. Lou said, I agree. But I'm thinking if that's why, then that would make sense. I also appreciated the fact that we saw part of Londo's, what do you call it? His vision. We saw part of his vision coming true, where he looks up at the sky with his hand up and he sees the shadows overhead. I thought that was a nice buttonhole kind of moment. So he's seeing that the portents are actually coming true, which means that the rest of them will probably come true. And that's not a good thing for him. But yeah, I do think that maybe they need something, and why not go to the people that trust us? And maybe we'll get a deal out of it. And we don't really know what his deal is with what Cartagia's deal is with them yet.
Yeah. So they said they can make him a god.
But, what does that entail?
Yes. I got the feeling that they wanted to move shifts off Zahadun in case that the Army of Light attacks them again. So they wanted to spread out their resources. And because they had done so much for Centauri, and so they have a debt to them, we're calling the debt. Like the Godfather, one day I may need a favor of you. And also, they're offering the Emperor what he really wants, which is to be a god.
And is that an empty promise? Are they just
Yes.
saying that to get him to comply? Which that dude is crazy. It reminds me of Mozart from that movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Amadeus.
Yes.
Is that the name of the movie? Yeah.
Yeah, that is exactly. So, yeah, we get Londo is in the royal court. He talks about he was not impressed with the emperor when he was a kid. He was drooling. At 15, he was looking up women's skirts. Someone made the point that you would not see anything the way that Centauris are built, which shows that he's not very smart. And I think this actor is brilliant, playing just enough crazy.
Yeah.
Just not
Mhm.
and dangerous, right?
Mhm.
I love his scenes with Londo. And you forget yourself. And the emperor is always right. And he's embraced the shorter crest, which I thought of Lou.
Mhm.
Lou's, man, this should be a trend. What were your thoughts, and Lou, of our first impressions of the emperor?
Yeah, I agree with you. I thought this actor he was chewing up the scenery, but it was done in a entertaining way. It's very much to me a Nero sort of type role.
Mhm.
We'll see, because the allegory is there because of the Centauri in the future being destroyed by the shadows
yeah,
and
good.
flames. So
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very strong connection. And yeah, he's got that bit of style, a bit of panache. I'm surprised to hear, Karen, that he dropped out of acting and became a lawyer, but I thought he was really good. The other member of the royal court, the minister Milo Verini,
Yeah.
the
Oh,
actor's
man.
playing the part is good, but God, that character's so freaking annoying.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's
Yeah.
such a sycophant. Ugh.
Yeah.
Suck up. I
Yeah.
can't stand those kind of characters, but I think he was asked to play it that way, and he did. So I'm hoping that there's a layer beneath that character that we'll find out about later on in the series. But first impressions of him are, oh God, I hope we don't have to talk to this guy very often.
I agree.
Well, and I think he's a really good example of someone just keep your head down,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? I'm afraid that if I say something, and he actually foretells everyone who voted against basically disbanding the Senate, their version of the House of Representatives and Senate, I think Centaurium, what they called it, have disappeared. And he shares, they say that he has a room with the heads and he talks to them, Malari.
Right.
And
That was a great scene, by the way.
Yeah.
It was a great scene. It reminded me a little bit of The Walking Dead with the governor.
Yeah.
That kind of,
Yeah.
it is very, that is one of the scenes that a couple of fans on Lurker's Guide said, boy, you really are changing the tone of the series.
Right.
And it's just a one-off maybe, but I thought it was really well done.
Definitely.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that dude, Verini,
Yeah.
I love that his name is so close to Vicini, by the way.
Yeah.
He is trying to match the Emperor's energy level, I think, in order to get in better with him.
Yeah.
He's definitely like a toady.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I also think he's dumb, because I don't think he gets anything of what Londo is saying. Londo is very smart. You notice that
Yeah.
when the Emperor says, whatever I say is law, he doesn't say, yes, sir. He says, that is our custom.
Right.
He dances around it. And he also says to Verini out in the hallway, I will have as much respect for him as I did when he was 18.
Yes.
He's doing a good job of not committing to
Right.
it, but I don't think Verini understands what he's saying.
No.
I think he hears that Londo has bought in, and Londo is definitely not saying that. But I do think that Verini is doing whatever he can to not end up like those senators.
Yes. I think
And
so
that
too.
includes acting like a weirdo.
Yeah. I'm hoping that his persona is a bit of a front and that he's actually smarter
Right.
than he appears to be, but
I hope
we'll
so.
have to see.
Yeah,
Um,
and he plays this as, what is the phrase? A cat in a room full of rocking chairs, like that, just
Zipping
afraid.
around trying
Yeah,
to avoid. Yeah.
yeah, afraid. I thought that, I agree. It is not a character you necessarily like, but it really sets the tone of how everyone's afraid of Cartagia. And
And I wanted to mention, you asked Lou about
yeah,
how he felt about Cartagia and what his whole thing is. And I feel like he acts crazy to mask the fact that he is a villain.
yeah,
Because he is very sinister at parts of when he's talking to the room at large, he acts insane and just completely beyond anything. And then when he's talking to Londo alone, there is a sinister component. He's letting Londo in on the fact that, oh, you're going to meet someone. Don't worry about it. I got things under control. So, yeah, I think that the craziness is a front on his part, and I'd like to know more about that. Cartagia is fascinating to me. So.
Yeah, I agree. I think he is really a fascinating character that is that his ego and his ambition is very much, and he says, my people, why shouldn't they sacrifice for this? And there's, if a few million die, but I can have what I want, who cares?
And he's not even just talking about his people. He's talking about whoever the shadows kill. Who cares?
Yeah. I don't care.
So he's like Rifa to the extreme.
Yes, he really is.
Yeah.
The other thing I wanted to ask about is, you mentioned that we got to see his the scene again. Yes, right. The vision. Did you guys catch about Londo talking about his jacket not being there? And did you catch the significance of that?
That he's not wearing that jacket in the vision. So he had to be in a different jacket for that.
Yes. So that's why. Yes, that is why. And Stravinsky is, okay, I'm not going to get caught all the time. Right. So he was like, okay, I've got to put in there why he put on a different jacket. And I don't know if I would have caught or noticed that he had changed jackets. I would have just thought, oh, yeah.
Maybe his vision has changed, or could have been anything. Yeah, but I understood that's why.
I actually would have made him wear his other jacket to set up that seed of, maybe the timeline can be changed or something like that.
Oh, that's an interesting point.
That would have been cool.
Yeah.
That would have been a good speculation point for fans.
Yeah, it would have been. Yes. All right.
So we're going to talk about Bakelasta now, or?
Yes, that's exactly perfect. The Emperor's, you're going to meet someone, you'll see. And we had talked a little bit about Mr. Morden, and it appears he's not doing well, is he?
No.
Well, for a guy that survived 2 50-megaton nuclear bombs, he's doing amazingly well.
Yeah, and he's right, and he's talking about flesh is flesh. I think he came across as a little not all there.
Yeah, agreed. Not just skin-wise, brain-wise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that. At least that's how my feelings were. What do you guys think?
Yeah, he seemed off to me. And he's gross looking, I gotta say.
Yeah, exactly.
I was a little dismayed to see him back, to be honest, because I'm not a huge fan of Morden. But he looks gross, and him picking his scabs was disgusting.
Oh, incredibly.
I thought that was an excellent touch, though.
It really does put you in the mind of where he is, too.
Yeah, it does.
And I do think that it's showing. Everything about his appearance in this is that he's unhinged. He has become unhinged from who he was. He was incredibly controlled, and he knew what he was saying every second of the day. And now I think that is gone.
Yeah.
I don't know that he has vengeance or whatever in his mind, but I think that it sloughed away his skin, but I think it also did the same thing to his brain. All that armor that he wore is gone now. Yeah, he's definitely losing it.
Okay.
Interesting. I didn't read it that way myself, but there's definitely a case to be made for that viewpoint of that character. I took it more that he was pissed at what Sheridan had done. And I think I'm like Karen, I'm dismayed to see this character back, because that kind of an explosion, I don't know what kind of a being could survive that. I just find that very, even John, okay, he fell down a 2-mile chasm or whatever, but how he got from where he was at the bottom of that chasm to where he is in this episode, like we're talking like 100 megaton nuclear blast. Like this, I don't know how much damage that would do, but I would think it would take a significant chunk of the planet out. I think I guess it wouldn't be planet damaging, but it would be like a big asteroid hitting a planet. So
yeah,
I'm really dismayed to see that he's back. I don't understand, unless he has some sort of transporter technology or something else, and he just got away but caught a little bit of the blast. But yeah, I'm a little flummoxed as to why they had to bring this character back, to be honest. And I'm hoping that this will be explained. I know that people keep saying that if you're looking for answers in Babylon 5, you're going to be disappointed, but this is a big reach for me. The Sheridan situation is a reach for me as well, but he's got to out with his ability to time shift, but then maybe that alien that he meets at the end of the episode has something to do with it too. I don't know. But yeah, so there's a couple of big question marks in this episode that I'm waiting for the answer to. And the other one that's confusing to me is, based on what I saw last episode and even in the opening credits here, the White Star was destroyed. Yet when they go to rescue Sheridan, they're on the White Star again. So is it the White Star 2, or do they call all their ships White Stars? Or is it a class of ship? I don't know.
Yeah, it is.
So that was confusing.
It is a class of ships. But yes, I would have thought that, was it like whatever ship the president's in is Air Force One, right?
Yeah.
I did think that was a little bit. Then it's very confusing. Well, grab the White Star. Which one? Oh, it doesn't matter. They're all the same, right? And it just
should say we'll grab a White Star.
Yes, absolutely.
Or it's the White Star A, like the NCC 1701A or something like that. But they just, we're going to the White Star. The White Star is gone. So that was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're throwing ships on this little island. The Emperor's, it doesn't matter. But I at least think this is setting up to, is this because they're storing the ships there? Could this lead to Sheridan's vision? Right? I don't think that's a big stretch for you to possibly think that.
No.
Yeah.
It really doesn't make me think of, like, they're locusts that once they get killed off, they have to go underground and regroup, and then they come back. But like locusts do that every 17 years.
But how badly were they hurt? That bomb blew up a city with all those ships were not even there.
Yeah.
I'm a little confused about that, but yeah, whatever.
Reduced.
Yeah.
Other than hurt, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe if we had known exactly what Sahadum was housing beyond those three characters.
Right. Yeah.
And then we might have a little more understanding of why this was such a big blow to them, because I think there's a reference in this, maybe it's Londo or not, Veer says something about that their home planet, or Zahadum is their home base or something like that.
And that is their biggest city, I think.
But we don't see the damage, so we don't know the impact, right?
So he does share, Veer, that when Londo isn't there, the shadow representatives, whoever they're probably the guy that we saw that told him to get off the station.
Morden 2.0.
Yeah, gave them an update. And so Veer is able to tell Susan they don't know anything about Sheridan. He took a nuclear blast. They destroyed their biggest city. And they're trying to, and I think your thought about Locust is regrouping, changing to come back is a good one. So that happens. So Susan knows that. And then Lyta and Kosh 2.0 meets with Susan.
Is his name, by the way.
Yeah.
I just happened to see it in the summary.
Yeah. Have a meeting. And as normal, Vorlons are helpful and sweet and very clarifying. So let's talk about this. That
/S.
Yeah, our new
for sarcasm.
Yes, the Alakash or whatever, Olkash, the new Kosh, the Lyta, how she says it's different. and she has a plan to maybe we can find Sheridan. Karen, let's just talk all about that.
I want to also mention that this is one of the very few times that we see Delenn visibly angry.
Yes.
Why is Kosh not at the meeting? They don't really reference it until they show up together in the Arboretum or whatever. That she says, she and, is it Lanier, talk about why is he not there? And then she has that meeting. She wants to talk to him alone. Lyta won't let him. And that symbiotic relationship, I'm stymied. I'd like to know more about it. Why is Lyta carrying part of Kosh/Ulkesh in her body? Why? Because we saw that transfer again. And I would think it's Kosh, except she mentions carrying you is different from Kosh. Yeah. So there's something, it's either that there's more, like two beings or something.
Yeah.
So there's all that, and no one knows about that, right? They don't get that she's carrying part of it. And Delenn doesn't get it either. She doesn't know what's going on. She thinks that Lyta can just walk away. And I think he is drawing stuff from her. So they can't be separated. So whether it's parasitic or symbiotic, I don't know, but there's something definitely going on. He's relying on Lyta for something. And Delenn is right. Why are you not coming to the meetings? And it's almost like he is the polar opposite of Cartagia or whatever. Yeah, Cartagia. Sorry, I didn't remember his name. He's like the polar opposite, where he seems just unaffected by whatever will happen to people. Who cares if they die anymore, as long as we get our thing across? But he is muted, whereas Cartagia is big. So it's almost like they're playing off each other in a way. And we know that's a thing where whoever's aligned with the shadows, and the shadows are one way, and the Vorlons are the exact opposite. So I feel like it's showing us that in this episode a little bit. I might be reading into it, but I do feel like he's got that same thing going where, well, Sheridan doesn't matter anymore. He's played his part. We're good. We don't need the non-aligned worlds, the Babylon Treaty. We don't need any of that. So I'm not going to show up. It has nothing to do with me anymore. And again, and I'll say Ulkesh now. Ulkesh is the worst.
Yeah.
I understand their motivations and everything, but I don't think either race, the Shadows or the Vorlons, I don't think either one of them is good, to be honest. I feel like they're two extremes, and it really showed here in the scene between Ulkesh and Delenn. And I liked seeing this emotion out of Delenn. I feel like she's lost John, and she still has hope, like Susan does through the first part of the episode. But part of her thinks he's not coming back. And she has also lost that touchstone. And she's showing emotion. She's not eating. Lanier is in despair of how to help her. And she's visibly angry, not only towards Ulkesh, but also on behalf of whatever's going on. I like that. And I also like the kind of that hopefulness that she's hanging on to that a little bit, where Susan has lost it. She's lost that hopefulness by the end of the episode.
She has it. Okay.
She has.
Lou, how about you?
Yeah, the whole relationship between Ulkesh and Alexander is interesting. And I'm assuming that he wants to inhabit a human body when he's at certain locations so that he can either spy or monitor what all these races are doing. I'm wondering if at times that they find it necessary to assume the form of another race because of maybe things like when they were creating telepaths for all the various races. I'm wondering if when he joins with her, is there times when he can exert his will over her and she doesn't know it, and then he's basically controlling her. So there's a lot of questions and possibilities with that whole scenario that we'll need to see how it plays out. And I did, as Karen mentioned, Delenn's reactions. It shows how deeply she feels for Sheridan. So that's good to show us instead of having her tell us how she feels. I thought that was a great use of that scene to do that. And the Vorlons they're as inscrutable as ever. They still seem to be like a plot device to me. Obviously, the Vorlons and the Shadows don't believe in the Prime Directive, which is interesting. You would think as a race gets more superior and wise that they would have a more elevated sense of, I don't know if you want to call it morals or ethics, but they still seem to operate from a pretty base concept. So that's an interesting dichotomy of these two, air quote, superior races. I guess there's just some things that you just can't get beyond yourself. It's in the genes.
Yeah, and they both use telepaths. I just thought about that just now.
Yeah.
The Shadows use telepaths, and it appears that the Vorlons also use telepaths. So that's...
Yeah.
And I use in the worst sense.
Yeah.
Ever. And I wouldn't say wise. You said as they get more sophisticated and wise.
The inference is as somebody gets older,
they would be. Right.
But they don't seem to be.
I don't think they are. I feel like they're stuck.
They both need to be put in their place.
Yes.
Yes, they do.
The naughty corner.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did any? I think that's really interesting, and it does seem like this new Kosh has no care about people at all, and I wonder if they feel like the previous Kosh had gotten too close to their pets, right? Because they do come across very arrogant. That
instead of getting wise, they just feel like they're know-it-alls.
Yeah. She comes up with a plan that maybe we can go to Zahadun. Because John is linked to Kosh and I was linked to Kosh, we have a connection. So maybe I can go there and I think I can hold them off. And so we have that dramatic scene where they take a White Star, thinking of you, Lou, and they go to check this out. We get to see her dark eyes, which is always a freaky scene. And we go. So we're exploring. I think this was a great scene where they're all under this pressure. Then all of a sudden they blink, and Lanier talked about he had set an autosave that if he did not touch the screen every few seconds or minutes,
2 minutes,
that he pre-chromed it to take them home. And then I think one of the best lines that Bill Mumy killed is doing the getting the hell out of here maneuver.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. All right, Karen, thoughts?
Yeah, why 2 minutes? I feel it could have been a little longer because 2 minutes, I don't know. And I was worried about that. Why 2 minutes? Maybe they could have gotten something if they'd stayed there a little longer, because it seemed like they were hitting on something.
Yeah.
So I think that was a device to get them away before they could hear anything.
Yeah.
Because it makes sense that in 2 minutes they wouldn't be able to connect. But why did Lanier make it 2 minutes? I thought it was an interesting gambit. I don't know that I would have thought of that.
Yeah.
But I think Lyta has other things happening.
Yeah.
And I know that we have a latent telepath and a telepath, and they both have a connection to John. So pulling them in and seeing if they could connect to him made sense. But I feel like it was a stretch. And I wonder if Lanier thought it was a stretch. Mm-hmm. And that's why he decided to go, because they were getting too far in.
Okay, could be. Yeah. How about you, Lou?
I was a little confused by this sequence because I didn't understand where this being thing came from. I assume it was a shadow because of all the lights, which we've seen. One of the creatures had all these multi-lights things, but how they were able to do that's not something we've seen before, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So, and was this like the queen shadow or something? Like, I'm thinking of aliens or something like that. Maybe this particular entity has different powers than a regular shadow creatures. because it seemed that she was a telepath as well and was able to bend their will. And if it wasn't for Lanier's failsafe gambit, they would have landed the ship on the planet. I assume this is something that will be explained in better detail going forward again. More questions have been raised in this episode, which is a blessing, a mixed blessing to say the least.
Yeah.
But it was just like one of those moments in a movie where they've set, like a fantasy movie or something, where they set up all this stuff and the heroes are all battling bravely to try and conquer the enemy, but things are not going well for them, and then all of a sudden the gate opens up and some being walks in and wipes the enemy away, and it gave me that vibe in this particular part of the episode.
Good. All right. Yeah, I thought this was pretty clever. I thought it was interesting that they spoke in their father's voices, which is considering Kosh spoke in John's father's image and voice. And it felt like a siren, right? They called it the eye, but this voice of sadness in their eye. So like a siren lures ships to their death. Yeah. Is this what this is? So yeah, I thought that was really nice. And right now they feel like John is gone. Right. And they're
at
all
least Susan does.
Yes, Susan does. Yes. I love the idea that Delenn is not till she obviously is a big comic fan. Till I see the dead body. I'm not.
That's right.
Yeah.
And it's not just the dead body, it's the head separated from the dead body. Because otherwise they can come back.
So I want to go back. We hadn't even talked about G'Kar is convinced and passionate about finding Mr. Garibaldi. He said that there are many people do not change their view of someone, and he was able to change his view of G'Kar, and he feels like it owes it to him. He's in the chief's quarters. He puts on his fedora. We get the Egyptian god of frustration, which is the payoff to the Texas. And I did love how Zach, like, is this one of his household gods? I'm like, no, it kinda. The Egyptian god of frustration. Lou, since you are our biggest Garibaldi fan, and especially you are going to continue raising the banner, he's not getting enough love. Give me your thoughts on this story.
If anybody was going to give Garibaldi some love, like it would be G'Kar, so that was good.
Yeah. And
I liked his opening narration was really well done too. So it nicely tied into this scene, and it was funny for us to see him trying to decipher Garibaldi's character from the articles in his bedroom or quarters. So I thought that was pretty well done. I'm not really sure that I see Garibaldi as a Daffy Duck kind of guy, though, but that's neither here nor there.
Remember, that's his second favorite thing.
Mm-hmm.
He always talks about the cartoons. Remember, we watched Delenn in an earlier, he was watching a cartoon with Delenn, and she was confused by it. So
as someone who is not familiar with them would be.
Yes.
Yeah,
definitely.
For sure. I'm looking forward to this G'Kar Garibaldi storyline, I assume. I don't know how long this is going to last either, with Garibaldi not being on the station. So it will be interesting. Definitely will be interesting to see how that plays out. And I think the setup of the Garibaldi storyline of him being kidnapped by a shadow ship, to me, is more interesting right now than what's happened to Sheridan, because that seems just like gobbledygook, much like with Morden, how they're still both alive. Garibaldi's is more grounded within the Babylon 5 universe. So I guess you could say he's a prisoner of war, potentially at this point. So I just really want to see what they're going to do with that character. And I guess if Franklin had been in this episode, he probably would have been worried about Garibaldi as well. But he wasn't. So that I just don't understand. I understand that Sheridan is central to the series, blah, blah, blah. Nobody's talking about Garibaldi. I just found that really weird. And this is the last time I'll raise that point.
No, it should keep going up. I agree. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, Karen, go ahead.
Yeah, I love how G'Kar and Garibaldi have this bond. And I think it started from just before he went to prison. Is that about right?
Yeah, when he gave him the book.
And I felt like maybe Jakar was looking for the equivalent to the Book of Jaquan to maybe get some insight into Garibaldi. And I am not comparing him to a dog at all, but like you put something in front of a tracking dog to get the scent.
Yeah.
So I like that he went into his room, and how people get into each other's rooms, I don't know, but I'm going to hand wave that. I loved how he said, no one's looking for Garibaldi, and I want to look for him. I felt like maybe he thought Garibaldi was getting the short shrift here, and he is concerned for him, and where he doesn't feel like they're treating him right, but he also understands why they're looking for Sheridan. So he's that straddling the line, but really wanting to be the advocate for Garibaldi. And I feel like he's our conscience in the show. He
Definitely.
has become, this kind of one note, from this one note character to this super complex, sympathetic, very relatable character. And I love that because I've always liked Jakar as a character. And now I can like him without feeling guilty on not liking the enemy. And I have always felt that way about Londo as well, but he's become way less sympathetic to me. Almost non-existently. And I do feel a little sorry for him right now, but still, he got himself into that mess. And Jakar is really, he is philosophical about what has happened. He is helping when it comes to the non-aligned worlds. He is always there. Once he became involved, he threw himself in. And I feel like maybe they should have gotten him involved a little earlier, because he's really a great asset to have. And seeing him be soft-hearted towards Garibaldi and just really intent on going after him because no one seems to be thinking about him, I loved that. And I thought of Lou 100% when I saw Jakar going after Garibaldi. I was like, he's not getting his due. And it's nice to see at least one person on the station. And Zach does feel like they're not doing enough for Garibaldi, but he also says, I think Garibaldi would feel like we should go after Sheridan first.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's reading into that. I feel like they really need to go after Garibaldi. He is important on the station. So Jakar gets that.
Yeah, because you wonder if would he be able to do a better job of finding Sheridan?
Of helping with Sheridan, right.
Yeah, if we get this guy first. Yeah, so I think that's a thought.
Look for them on the same level.
Yeah.
They need to expend as many resources for Garibaldi as they are for Sheridan. It's not like they're exhausting the ship looking for Sheridan.
Yeah.
They have other scouts that they could send out for him. Yeah, it's like they're saying Garibaldi isn't important. It's almost like they're doing what Kosh is doing. As long as we find Sheridan, nothing else matters.
Yeah.
And I think you make a really good point. Garibaldi really would be a huge asset to finding Sheridan, or at least helping in that endeavor. Plus, Susan wouldn't be alone. She would have someone else to help shoulder that burden. And she's not even thinking about it. I understand she has a lot to do, but she's not oblivious to the fact that Garibaldi's missing.
No. And she's in a bad place.
Yep.
And they all are.
So why is she not really leaning on anyone? Yeah, I understand that she's stoic and she's not used to that, but in this case, I would think she'd need to lean on someone a little bit.
Yeah,
Marcus.
Marcus, yes. I can understand her trying to be strong, like not going to Carwin or Zach or someone, but it does seem like you would want someone, and I think that's just,
I could see her maybe with Delenn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
With even just talking to Jakar about it.
Yeah.
But Marcus, for sure.
Absolutely.
They've started to have this kind of respect for each other, and I could see her going to Marcus. And we see that Marcus is reaching out to her. Yeah. And that there's a message from Marcus in the thing. So why not?
Exactly. All right. From my notes, we have two storylines to discuss. So I'm going to leave the end with we see Sheridan, the end. So the only thing I see left is Londo calls Veer, and Veer does the passive aggressive. Oh no, yeah, I was gonna get up in 7 hours anyway.
It's funny.
And yeah, that was really funny because we always do that. No, we never just say, yes, I was sleeping. Why the hell are you waking me up? And he
I
says,
do.
Veer, yeah, good for you. Veer, I need to go. And then I love that you're the closest thing to a friend I have. I'm as shocked as you are. I need a friend and a patriot. You just giggled, Luke. Tell me about that discussion.
Yeah, I love that discussion. I think it was great that Londo just cannot fathom how a very much slimmer looking Veer, by the way, in this episode,
Mhm.
Yes.
can walk through all this maze of power politics and cutthroat deals and whatnot, and still come out the other side basically unchanged. And
Mhm.
Yeah.
I just love that dialogue.
You haven't been paying attention.
So, even when he's complimenting him, it's still a left-handed
Yeah.
compliment. So
Yes.
I just thought that was probably the best scene in the episode. To be well, the Jakar episode scene was pretty good too, but I
Yeah.
thought that this was
I
that
know what you're
conversation.
saying, though,
Yeah,
that because we've had so much
yeah,
of Londo being so mean to him
yeah,
and also so disappointed in him
yeah,
when after with the marriage episode
yeah.
that this shocking of I can't believe that I'm saying this, but I guess we're friends.
Yeah. Though why Veer would say, "Yeah, we're friends," I have no idea. But
Mhm.
yeah, because he's been getting the Ryan to the stick the whole time.
Yeah.
But it was just such a funny realization by Londo that Veer is Veer is Veer. Like
Yeah.
he's like an inert object. But he's an excellent anchor point for people when they're under dire circumstances, and Londo recognizes that. So that was good. The only thing, of course, I think is once those situations resolve, Londo will take advantage of Veer or get rid of him or whatever, even though he owes him so much that he would just begin to see him as a rival because not just because of what would happen, but because of their visions of who's going to be emperor down the road. Yeah, I thought it was just a wonderful scene, and I just loved. I thought that Londo just his dawning realization that he really needs Veer was great to see. It was so funny.
One of the things I loved is the whole. I think Stephen First is amazing. Like this, oh, the dead. That would not be good. I could see, and then his ending of "You wouldn't have asked me if you didn't already know my answer."
Right.
Yeah.
Is such a, and I think Veer is someone else that we have seen a lot of growth. So that's cool.
Yeah, and Londo also knows that he'll be in his corner because this action that he wants to take, killing the Emperor, would be in line with how Veer feels about this whole war situation. So not only is he what he considers a friend, he understands that Veer will help him patriot-wise. And he also understands that Veer has that viewpoint of it's extreme, but maybe we have to do something extreme. I also like that they look for listening devices in the room, which does it show that Londo is paranoid or does it show how deep this goes?
I think I can't forget. I've now missed. We've all talked. Did either one of you have anything else to add about this?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, I did too. I agree with you. I think that was some of the best scenes that because we've watched this friendship grow and how one-sided it's been, but at the other times Londo has helped him and he's lied to himself, I think, to a certain degree that I'm just doing this because I don't want to hurt my reputation. And and Lou, you said it perfect, right? Even when he's complimenting him, it's backhanded. I am shocked as you are. By the way, one little note, someone asked in Lurker's Guide, when a new season starts, how hard is it for the actors to get in character? And they talk about often because you do a lot of readings and doing things. And the Londo said that all he has to do is stand up straight and go, Mr. Garibaldi, and he's in character.
There you go.
I'm sure the makeup helps too.
Yeah.
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 Just one extra note on the Centauri scenes. From the production perspective, it screams TV limited budget to a certain degree with the sets, but I have to compliment them on doing the best with what they could do
Right.
to make it look like it was a big palace. And there's a lot of scenes with them in corridors, you could say, with curtains on both sides. Just a pretty simple solution, or cheap solution to, like, how do we do this hallway without spending like a whole bunch of money to actually build walls and whatnot? They just used curtains, and I thought that's pretty clever. So I thought from a production side of things, they did quite well. And I also like how dark Londo's quarters are. I think it's a good setting device. So.
Compared to the rest of the palace.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's really dark. He's down in a dungeon or something.
And here's our obligatory Farscape comparison for this episode.
Yes.
We know in Farscape they used the same quarters over and over. When someone was running, they would run and film it, and then they would stop the camera, they would back up, and they would run again through the same thing. It was literally the same corridor every time. When they do it like this creatively, they can make it look like anywhere in the palace.
Because they can reconfigure it very quickly.
Exactly. Or do different color curtains, or do some sort of facade. I think it's really a brilliant solution to that. I agree with you, Lou. It makes the palace seem like a huge palace.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
I did too. I think it, and I think one of the things you guys mentioned earlier, there is, in the older Saturday Night Lives, they will have, I think it was Phil Hartman who played Frank Sinatra.
Yep.
And then they would have a couple of the other cast members play Steve and Edie. And be like, you
So
got it, Frank. Yes.
Yeah.
They agreed everything.
A sycophant, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
In a previous company I worked at that shall remain nameless, me and one of my best friends, Sam, mentioned that we'd be in meetings with our CEO, and there were certain people that were Steve and Edie. You got it, Steve.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Steve. Oh, you're so right, Steve. And loved all the hangers on in the throne room, because that would be a thing.
Yeah.
And he wants
and like
people around him, right?
Verini would be the face of that. But we definitely saw lounging friends of his. It's like he pulled all his beer buddies in to exactly.
Yeah. The only thing was missing was some sort of like background music playing or something.
Yeah.
Their version of party
Fly
music.
me to the moon.
Yeah.
That's funny, Stephen Edie's.
Yeah. All right, we see Sheridan. We at first see just the shadow, and then we get that it is John.
Yeah, they telegraphed that pretty hard.
Yeah.
Because the bar from his suit, he's used that many times. We see them in his quarters, he's given one away, and
Karen, give me your thoughts on this and the discussion he has with Lauren, I believe is the alien's name.
The tall alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just says tall alien in here. So, Lori Yen, I see that. Okay. Wayne Alexander, that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
So anyway, it had that air of Vorlon in his face, but he's definitely corporeal. And I'm thinking that maybe whoever that is, had something to do with him living. That's not a stretch, I don't think. And what is going on there with the fire? And is that something that's happening in John's head? Is it really happening?
Yeah.
I have a lot of questions about that. And I hope it's not going to be a cop-out. I really do. I hope there's a little bit of an explanation about what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My thought was, how do you make a fire? Is there wood? What do you go? It looks like a cave.
Yeah. So that's what makes me think that it's in his head. That maybe
Yeah.
there's something like he's got some sort of a heat lamp on him, and so he's manifesting a fire. That's the thought I had, is that this is happening in an allegorical way.
All right, Lou.
Yeah, this sequence was interesting. I get the vibe that it might be like Karen's inferring that it might be like the equivalent of Luke going into the Dark Force tree in The Empire Strikes Back and meeting with himself, because there's just things that don't add up. Like, where did he get that
cloak
that and why does he need a cloak? Is it cold down there? And it doesn't look cold, but I guess it is, because he has to build a fire, and the fire looked like it was made out of all his a bunch of command bars. So that was weird too. And I'm certain there's a symbology there. The tall alien doesn't look like a race that we've met before.
It has not.
So how that's going to play out is going to be interesting to see. And of course, like the big question is, how did he survive the fall? We still haven't been told that. So we need to see all of that. And you can just tell by the length of this episode that there's this of our podcast episode. This episode has raised a lot of questions and speculation and conjecture, which is good for a starting point for a new season.
Yes.
Kudos to them on that front. And I'm not too impatient. I'm not impatient yet to find out the answers to most of these questions. Yeah. So that's also a good sign.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I just noticed it's Wayne Alexander. Is that his? Wayne Alexander.
My next question I was going to ask.
Yeah, he played Jack the Ripper in that earlier episode.
Yes, he did.
That's interesting.
Yes, that's why Texas on the Shock said, "Did you recognize the voice?"
No, I didn't.
Oh, okay. I didn't either.
Yeah. So that is the same actor, which is funny that they're bringing him back to play a different role. It is
unless he turns into Jack the Ripper.
Oh yeah, it could be. I like the speculation. Yeah, I feel, at least I remember from my perspective, I felt like all good TV shows, as they're answering their questions, they're giving us more questions and more questions. And therefore, I don't feel unsatisfied. Okay, you know what? This is just more crap. Or like often I will get into this. I remember years ago, Prison Break with Fox. Every episode, it ended with a new crisis.
Right.
And that irritated me till I realized, okay, that's what this show is going to be. So either quit watching or not. This doesn't feel like, this feels like just like life, as you explore and figure one answer, then something else comes up. Yeah, I think this overall was a really good start to the fourth season. I was really happy to see. I couldn't remember if Zach was in the opening credits on season 3 or not, but I was glad to see him. He got a little bit of a role.
He's smack dab in the middle of it, which
Lyta is here full time this season, so which may be
Lou's
good.
Gonna love that.
Yes, so
he was okay this episode.
Okay, good. Yeah. All right. Any other thoughts before we go to ratings?
We also have some sort of sub-story going on with the Vorlons. They're going on their own path again. They're going to do something that they're not going to explain to anybody else. So it'd be interesting to see what that is.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And circling back to now, thinking on it a bit, how they've handled Sheridan in this episode versus Garibaldi. I think maybe that with the Sheridan storyline, they're going to piece it out to us over the next couple episodes exactly what happened to him. I'm thinking maybe with Garibaldi, he's just going to come back and we're not going to know exactly what happened to him. And that's going to be something that's going to be explored over the season.
You saw the name of the next episode, didn't you?
No.
It's called Whatever Happened to Mr. Garibaldi.
Oh, okay. So I think the Sheridan thing, we're going to get the answers as he comes back. But I think with Garibaldi, he's going to come back, but nobody knows how he got back and whatnot. And then over the season, there's going to be this lingering questions around his personality or competency or whether or not he's been compromised. But that's a speculation. I don't know.
Okay, good. That's interesting. Very interesting. All right, let's.
But now the next episode probably blows that out of the water.
I don't know. It's asking where is he? So.
Yeah.
Where is he, or what happened? Whatever happened to? Oh, okay, yeah. So he's not back yet. Then maybe
I assume.
Yeah.
That's what it means.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing this episode then. Get some
Right.
Garibaldi love, I hope.
Same.
Yeah.
Unless
I
that's
like
just
that
the
it's-
title of the episode and I spend everything on
Well,
Sheridan.
I'd
Yeah.
like to think that it's at least centered around him. Let's hope so.
Okay.
Let's not bait and switch us on the title.
Did Jerry Doyle have a good relationship with JMS?
Yes,
Okay.
I believe so.
Because it doesn't seem like JMS likes the character very much this last season.
I
Okay.
wonder if he just doesn't know where he slots in, if he's not finding a good place to put him. But at least back then, I'm not talking about right now.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Keep that in mind. I don't want to spoil anything, but there is an answer to whether, at least in my mind, where if he liked the character or not.
Okay.
That is answered in the future. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, good. Yeah. I think I'll go first this time. I think this is a good start to the new season. I'm gonna give it 8.5 sleepless nights. Karen?
Yeah, it's a solid episode. I love that it gives us some clues as to what's coming up, and it also encompasses a lot of the storylines in a good way, not coming out and telling us, but showing us. And I loved Claudia Christian's acting in this very much.
I agree.
So I think I'm going to go with 8 unfinished dinners, Delenn's.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, I think this is a good episode for the start of a new season. It's laying the groundwork for a lot of storylines that I'm interested in seeing how they play out going forward. But it was a slower episode. But the good scenes, like the Jakar scene and the Londo Veer scene, were my 2 favorite scenes in the episode. So I like that quite a bit. And I think this is an episode that I'll appreciate more later on. But for now, I'm going to give it 8 Daffy Ducks, even though I think Garibaldi's more of a Bugs Bunny kind of guy.
Okay.
What's up, Doc?
Yes.
What's up,
I can
Doc?
see that. By the way, if I remember, I'm going to start doing this on Lurker's Guide to Babylon 5. They have what they call their P5 rating, which is basically readers of the site vote on, they rate from scale 1 to 10, and this is an 8.89.
Okay.
So yeah, so they're a little bit higher than our combination, but not by much. So I think if I can remember, I think that might be fun to see what the
after we give our ratings.
after we give our ratings.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah,
please do.
So, yeah, Zahadum was a 9.73. Was an example, right?
Yeah.
And we all gave it 9s or 10s. So yeah.
No, you guys gave it 10, and I was a little lower.
Oh, okay.
Let's not mince words there. You guys definitely gave it.
Speaking of Zahadun, Nathan sent an email that was after we had already recorded, but Karen has it, and we're going to share it now.
Yep. And someone pointed out that it sounds like we're saying Zahadun, and we're saying Zahadum. It's just getting garbled a little bit.
And I can't. I grew up in Louisiana, so I can't speak good English.
I don't speak good.
Yes.
Okay, so this is, again, it's for Zahadum, the last episode, and it's from Nathan. And Nathan says, this episode, finally the answer, and it's revealed that not only Vorlons are not that great, but the fact that they were lying about being powerless, they are just as horrible in their general passivity, manipulation, and small changes like inserting telepaths in younger races, just like the shadows are horrible, being actively fanning the aggressive tendencies, starting wars, and killing millions. So thank you, Nathan, by the way, for reinforcing the fact that I say they're the worst.
Yeah.
The only problem I have is there are 2 weak points in the story that never worked for me. Sheridan's decision to go to Zahadum and the revealing conversation Morden and co. have there. I don't like the explanation the most. There should have been something more convincing Justin should have said to make Sheridan consider an alternative for at least a second. It would make his stupid decision retrospectively worth it, at least within the confines of the story. I don't know what exactly may be suggesting that Shadows seemingly decided to uplift humans and give them much more tech. It was the point of the story, but too small. And this is my aside here. I love that he is And this was sent before we had our conversation.
Absolutely.
And I love that he and Lou are on the same page there. That conversation was super weak. I thought the same thing, but Lou definitely picked it out as,
yeah, I agree.
as something big. Alternatively, I would have wanted either Anna's proposal about going to Zahadum or Sheridan's logic to be better, or some event in the past regarding Vorlons that let the mask slip more. Something. Overall, it's a gripping episode and satisfying in that it finally gives answers, but unsatisfying when it comes to the way the script was written. And even disappointing considering the preceding slew of very strong plot-heavy episodes that didn't have weak points in Myth Act. With regards, Nathan. Great email, Nathan.
Thank you, Nathan. Nathan is, I think, really good at liking the show and able to nitpick it. And I don't mean that in a bad way, to criticize it stronger than I tend to look at it with fan eyes. So I'm a little bit quicker to hand wave. And I really love, Nathan, that you are obviously a very fan of the show, but you are able to see things that in a more bright light. And I always love that perspective. So thank you for that.
Agreed. And Lou and I are on the other side of the fence where we are in the dark. So it's nice to have that kind of middle of the road. I see the show for what it is kind of opinion.
Yeah,
so I like that.
Please keep them coming.
Yes. Right. And this is from Texas on the Shock for this episode, The Hour of the Wolf. They say, what happens in this episode? Not much, really, but you can't look away. It's really quite something. All sides are reeling from the attack on Zahadum. The League is convinced the war is over and is turning back to their own interests. The Shadows have started moving their forces to alternate locations, much to Londo's dismay, and the Vorlons are strangely silent. Or, as Karen puts it, and this is me saying this, the worst.
Yeah.
So here we have the first appearance of Wortham Krimmer as the delightfully insane Emperor Cartagia. This is one of those instances where the actor just seems to be having the time of his life in this role. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And then he serves up a helping of Morden well done.
Nice.
Crispy. Shake and bake.
Yep. Yes. There you go. Shake and bake. And who's his favorite band? Talking Heads, of course, although he's the only one who can hear them talking. That's funny.
That was very funny.
So after trying to keep things going, wait a minute. What is one of their biggest albums? Stop
Burning
Making
Down the
Sense.
House.
Stop Making Sense.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Was one of their things. Yeah. And Burning Down the House. Those are good.
Yeah.
So after trying to keep things going and failing to find Sheridan at Zahadum, the crew decide they will just have to press on without him. But wait, something stirs in the darkness below. It is Sheridan. And who is this figure who emerges from the shadows? More importantly, do you recognize the voice? And yes, we covered that. I didn't, but I looked him up. We shall find out next time. But until then, we may as well try to fly. Who's flying? Garibaldi? Sheridan? Okay.
He flew down the chasm.
I often do not remember the cues that that clues. And in this one, my immediate thought, and I do not know if this is right, is pigs flying.
Okay.
If that's it. But that was my first thought. We might as well try to fly. So I don't know if that's
I think Texas alludes to things that are a little bit more concrete. So I don't know. I like it. I love that they do that. So
I do too.
That's awesome. Yeah. So thank you, Texas on the Shock.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's true. They do.
And they did talk about in one of the feedback that, in fact, no, I won't mention that. No, because I read the emails when they come in to make sure I didn't miss something. And next week's email, there is a connection that kind of goes with flying. But I'm going to let Texas on the Shock do that. Yes, very nice.
Don't send it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because now you make me want to read it.
Yeah, yeah. Next week, whatever happened to Mr. Garibaldi, and I am looking forward to. There's some really fun things going on here. Yes,
YouTube.
Yes, YouTube. Lou, anything on the channel that you want to share?
We're starting to get the comments coming back in, which is great to see. And I assume it was because it was a good episode and a season finale. FX says, if you give this a 10 out of 10, the series finale will be 100 out of 10. Oh, if you don't do that to us, don't set those expectations so high for us, because if we come in at 80 out of 10, you're going to be disappointed. He also follows up, says that according to Skrinsky, Justin was not a crew member of the IPX spacecraft Icarus and arrived on the planet at a different time than they did. That would have been nice to have been told in the episode.
Yeah, right. Would have been. Yeah.
And then Nathan, I think you alluded to this in that email, Karen. He agrees with me about Justin. Yay! And so we'll just go with that. And what else have we got here? We already mentioned Texas said, to your opening narration guesses, the answer is yes. And FMS Dog is saying he can't wait to see how we react to when our predictions play out or not. And CPMF 2112 says to Karen, Rush Xanadu is the best version. Sorry, Karen.
Yes, and I said, dude, back to him, because hello. We'll have to agree to disagree. I love Rush, mind you, but
yeah. And if ESX says Zaha Dune, I guess maybe we're just leaning into the Doom instead of Doom.
Yeah,
like
it's
Doom.
An M.
Doom, like in the video game Doom, as opposed to Dune.
Right.
And that sparked, the letters and comments sparked one thing I forgot to mention in the episode. One of the things that was going through this episode is everybody kept saying, nobody comes back from Zahadun.
But people keep coming back.
Yeah, that's true. But nobody knew that Sheridan's, well, I guess they did, but now you've ruined my point. I don't know if
I'm sorry.
No, but
I'm very sorry.
I think they're emphasizing that line so much that I think it's a setup for that when Sheridan comes back, he's going to be like
a deal.
It's going to be like King Arthur pulling the sword out of the stone kind of a moment, and all these people are going to, maybe the alliance will rush back together again or whatever. He's going to become very elevated beyond just his position at the B5 station. This is not quite like Christ resurrecting on the third day, but
is it a heathen kind of?
It's in that territory, I think. At least that's what I think they're trying to set up. Otherwise, why do they keep repeating that line all the time?
Yeah, but I don't know if they know that Morden and his buddy and all that are coming from Zahadum.
Yeah, but they're kind of shadow people, right? No normal person has ever come back from Zahad.
But people do keep coming back. I find it interesting that they keep mentioning that, and his wife came back, Morden's friend.
But they were all compromised.
Correct. They were. And I don't know that they broadcasted that they were on Zahadum. I think it's maybe people that go there, and we know they're going there for some reason. They never come back. And we don't know that Icarus has come back. There's that kind of.
That, be it that as it may, I think the show is setting up Sheridan's return as a very big deal.
Agreed. I agree too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think all of that is very
interesting,
insightful, and I am having to bite my tongue not to say things. So, which are always the best, right?
Okay.
Good. Okay. If someone wants to leave comments or give feedback to you, Lou, how can they?
Not to drag things out since we're already gone like 90 minutes. But
yes, it has been. Yeah.
That's a good mark for this episode. You can find me on YouTube at Lou's Reviews, where you find this podcast, as well as our JKL Media podcast, where we just finished 12 Monkeys. And if you're into SF and you want to see a really good time travel series, I highly recommend that one to you. Plus the other series that we've covered, they've all been really good. So definitely worth your time. Even if you don't want to listen to our podcast, just to get the show name so that you can watch the series on your own. As well, I have my writers podcasts and a Stephen King podcast, and on YouTube or Twitter, you can find me at Lou, Louw Sytsma, Sytsma.
And Karen?
I am at Eldeveria on the various social medias, Aleveria. Getting into watching TikTok. I don't have anything up there yet, but TikTok is fun. But I'm still on Twitter because I really only interact with my timeline, and my timeline isn't very toxic.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm there, and there's a link in my Twitter bio to a page that gives you a link to my blog. And there I have a bunch of links that you might find interesting. So
good. I am at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter. I am continuing to hang there. And you can also, the show is on Twitter. And please go to iTunes, rate and review us. I know a lot of you end up watching us on YouTube. Thank you so much for doing that. But if you could go to iTunes, subscribe to the show, download it, and give us a review, that would help other people find us. So thank you for that.
We are at JKLM Podcasts on the Twitter machine.
Yes.
And I just updated it.
Yay. And we are very much excited to be. We are still debating on what's going to be our next one-off series, but I don't know if we're going to have time if we continue doing almost an hour and 45-minute Babylon 5 episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
great.
It might cool down a little bit once we get into the meat of this season.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. All right. For now, listeners, please, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Karen. Be safe, be kind, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye.
Thanks and bye.
Yay. That was good.
And scene.